Oh, okay. All right. We're taking a look at COVID-19. Mr. Aroyemi, are you ready?
Oh yes, it's such a delight being with you again.
Uh,
Good
but
morning to
but
Miss.
we really can see you. Your video is off. Okay. Yes, we can see you now. We can see you now. All right. Good morning once again. Good to be here with you, and I'm quite glad that we're having this conversation finally. Finally, I know a couple of months ago we did talk about the readiness of the Jehovah's Witness to come back to in-person services. How has that panned out in the last couple of months?
Well, it was April 1st that we resumed our in-person meetings, and it's been so beautiful. It's been so delightful seeing ourselves in person once again. It's true we could see ourselves on Zoom prior to this time, but now that we're seeing face to face, you can read people's body language, understand their challenges, you can give assistance to the extent possible. It's just that nothing is comparable to in-person meeting. The brothers, sisters, friends, they're all excited about it.
Let's dig back a little bit and see how the COVID now, because yours was an extension. COVID-19 did stop people from going to worship centers. Yours took a longer time than usual. How did that affect Jehovah's Witnesses across Nigeria and maybe across the world?
So COVID-19 affected everything. We had to shut down all our assembly facilities, all our meetings, our larger gatherings, the memorial of Jesus Christ's death, and our public ministry. And it meant that we'll be having such larger gatherings via Zoom. Everything we did was done through the virtual platforms available. So basically, everything got affected. We couldn't go out in our public ministry. We couldn't display our carts. We couldn't attend our gatherings, but we still were able to do these things to an extent virtually.
Okay. Now that you've resumed since April 1st till date, that's about 2 months to see if people have adjusted. I did hear you say the other time that people are excited to come back to in-person meetings.
Oh, yes. Oh, they are very, very happy. I'll tell you about an older man who's 85 years old, and he had to fondle with his phone so as to join the Zoom meetings these past 2 years. And he felt so relieved meeting with his children, as he called them, in person. You could just look at his face and know that he's excited to be physically present. And sometimes too, we can have issues with Zoom or internet. And so once that trips off, everybody is yanked off the screen. And that can be very sad. You're listening to an encouraging talk and suddenly there's a network challenge and then you're off. But right now, there's nothing of that when you meet physically. But of course, we still have a hybrid format, which means that those who still can't come in person are able to join via Zoom.
And interestingly, now that you've started in-person services, I can't help but notice that people, Jehovah's Witnesses, are not noticed at every corner and at the bus stop yet. Do you plan to resume that soon, or is it that I have not been too observant?
You remember in our previous conversation, I did mention that we're yet to start our public ministry, but we are resuming that. In fact, we started that this past weekend, and it was an information, the direction we got on May 31st, and globally, once again, we started. But it's not the way you used to know it. We're not going to go on knocking on people's doors right now. We're going to be found in ports. We're going to be found displaying our carts. We're going to be found on the streets. We're going to be found visiting those who are familiar with us, those who've invited us to their homes. We call them our friends that we visit. We don't go on knocking randomly at this moment, but for those persons who have been our guests, who are coming to meetings and who have asked us to come, we have about 1 million of them on record. In Nigeria, that is, over 1 million persons who are regular Bible students, and we visit their homes. So these ones, we would still visit them, but we are yet to go on knocking randomly. So our public ministry has resumed this past weekend, and it was extremely exciting being out this past weekend. We had people who saw us on the street and were just shouting, "Welcome, where have you been all this while?" And we're all happy. Yeah.
See the excitement, the way you
say, welcome, like finally we're back on the road.
That's right.
But I can't but help but
skeptical a little bit, going by what happened at Owo on Sunday. I can't help but be skeptical. Are you sure people would have confidence to return to church or stand on the street, or the security situation of the country is not particularly encouraging?
Well, as I said yesterday, it's quite a sad commentary, really. Individuals would evaluate location where they are. As I mentioned, we still have a hybrid format. In other words, if for whatever reason, reasons of age, reasons of health and others, one is not able to come physically, the person has the option of attending via Zoom or even preaching via the internet platforms. But then when the location shows relative safety, yeah, of course, the individuals can come. The bottom line is it is now available, but it's subject to whatever is found.
Your personal choice. So it's a personal
kind of thing. Nobody's forcing you, because then the other people, other Christians would almost relatively feel a little bit not religious enough, not spiritual enough, if they don't find time or if they don't get into the church itself. So if you're saying that is possible, it's your choice. Do Jehovah's Witnesses make that choice freely, or it's something that you reinforce and let them know?
Well, everything Jehovah's Witnesses do is voluntary. People decide to study the Bible, they decide to get baptized, they decide to go ahead and talk to people.
There's audio, Namino.
What they've learned, they talk about it, they're excited to talk about it. So generally, nobody's put under any pressure. It's something they just love to do, and they feel pained that they're not able to do it. I'll give you an example. What do you call prisons now? It's called correctional centers, isn't it? Now, we will go there. We have persons that we've spoken with and they've been adjusted. Now, if we enjoy doing that, it's not under any pressure. So the friends really enjoy it. But then they consider safety. And that's still why, even now that we're going to do it, we still wear our masks. We still take precautions because...
because I was going to go to the protocol.
COVID is not gone. It's still visible. So we're not complacent. We still ensure that we are safety conscious, even as we embark on our public ministry.
What's the protocol that you follow now as you go to church? What's the protocol?
So in all our meeting places, we have wash hand stations, running water in all our locations. So the first thing you do as soon as you get in there is to go ahead and wash your hands. And of course, you have your masks on. And a good number of the friends also have hand sanitizers. And many of them are already vaccinated with the first, second, and the booster shots. So these persons are already vaccinated, and yet they still put on the mask, because the law for now in Nigeria is if you're going to do anything indoors, you have to put on the mask. If you're doing it outdoors, then it's optional. So for us, we comply with that because it is also showing that we appreciate that life is sacred. So we put on the mask when we are entering into our facility because it's certainly indoor. And then we also wash our hands as soon as we get in. And when we are done, we do the same thing. It's something that the friends are used to right now. They just do it effortlessly.
While we talk about some of the protocols that you observe, I can't help but wonder, what about people who are incapacitated, or people who have been receiving help from you guys for a number of years? Will that reduce now that you are back in the church, in the hall?
Oh, no, it doesn't change it. For those who are incapacitated, if I may use your language, or those who are elderly, or those who are limited for any reason, they can join our meetings. They do it using the Zoom platform. That's why I mentioned that we have a hybrid format. If you can't come in person, you can also be on it virtually. You can be in your home and attend the meeting and participate, and the entire congregation will hear you talking, commenting, contributing to the conversation, even if you're not physically present. And you hear what everybody else is saying at the Kingdom Hall. And the same way, these ones who can't go out to meet their Bible students and talk with them, they can still study with friends, preach using the same virtual platform. And for those that we provide assistance to, we don't stop. Assistance will never, ever stop, because we know these are difficult times. COVID has really made things hard. And so we have a relief ministration that we use in supporting those who have been affected by COVID or those who have other challenges.
So it brings me back to the conversation of the health issues and the attendant issues that we're dealing with as a country. Monkeypox seems to be another one that people have begun to talk about. And last week it was announced that here in the city of Lagos, for example, about 6 cases were discovered. So across the country, there were quite a number of cases. Very few, but of course it's there. Just the other week, you're talking about Lassa fever, and just the other. So there are so many health issues. That's where I'm getting at. Are you talking to your congregation to get vaccinated? Or I know Jehovah's Witnesses have rules when it comes to things like that. How is that playing out?
Well, Jehovah's Witnesses have nothing against vaccination, and many of them are vaccinated. Many are vaccinated. And a few of our friends who are not Jehovah's Witnesses yet, who also attend our meetings, they've seen that the majority are vaccinated, and they're also going to get vaccinated. When you talk about health protocols and awareness, we have a lot of references, videos, and publications on hygiene and health that we find on our jw.org website. We ensure that these things are not just put there, but they are translated in languages that these persons can understand. And we have imagery that they can associate with washing of hands and how it's going to be done. We don't just say wash your hands. We explain to you for how long are you going to wash the hands so that the bacteria or anything there can go away, following direction from the health authorities. So we have these visuals that can help them not just to hear it, but also to see what it means to be conscious of hygiene. Our friends are doing well in that regard.
As we begin to round up this conversation,
I'm concerned about your larger gatherings. So when do you hope to resume that?
Oh, yes, our larger gatherings, we call them regional conventions. In the last 2 years, we have been doing it virtually. This year, we're going to still do the same thing virtually. We're listening to one, it's titled Pursue Peace. And that's really an interesting topic in view of what's going on across the world, in view of what's happening in Russia and Ukraine and with other countries that are being affected. It's time for us to talk about peace. So our regional convention this year focuses on pursue peace. It's as if peace is running away. So what do you do to achieve it? And what has the Bible got to say about that? How can families help? So that will be on virtual platform as well. It's going to be done in 500 languages across the world, and we're going to have it in 239 countries, and it's going to be on virtual platform. You have talks in various languages: Igbo, Yoruba, Hausa for Nigeria, Jekiri, and many more, and globally. So 539 countries. The topic is pursue peace. We hope that would also unite people on the need to pursue peace, even here in Nigeria. So for this year, it's still going to be virtual.
Okay, it's still going to be virtual. All right, as we begin to, round off this conversation, I'd like you to speak to every Jehovah's Witness out there. What do you hope to achieve with this resumption? And of course, I encourage them to come back to in-person service.
Our hope is to give people hope, really. Get back to them. Let them understand that life is not hopeless after all. In spite of the challenges, in spite of the sad news, people don't want to turn on the television to hear the news. You just did the headlines right now. It can be saddened sometimes. However, we know that there's joy ahead of us. So we assure them that. And we also appreciate seeing our friends once more. When you talk to them and you can read from their facial expression that they love this or they don't understand this, it's a beautiful thing. So our target is get back to the people, give them the message of hope, reduce the rate of suicide, get the kids off cult, get the kids off drugs. The Bible can achieve that. And that's exactly what we hope to achieve with our public ministry that we have resumed this past weekend.
Thank you so much, Mr. Olusegun.
For joining us this morning on the Bumper Breakfast and talking about this. I hope to check back with you in another few months and find out how things are panning out, and of course how much people you are recording at each of these services, whether it's the in-person or even the door-to-door. And I can't wait for you to begin to knock on my door.
I look forward to knocking on your door, Missy. Thank you very, very much. It's always a privilege to be on your program.
Thank you so much, sir. Have a beautiful day.
Beautiful day. Right, we're back here in the studio and we're talking next politics. Of course, you met our guests earlier, the politician and the politician. Both of them today are wearing the caps of politicians, and both are doing everything possible to make sure they talk about Nigeria and some of the issues, of course, affecting Nigeria. I want to begin with the man in the cap. Because it's the one that looks more like somebody who has collected. You see,